Good morning. I am going to share with you today kind of how to split up a harder multiplication problem, even though most of you wouldn't consider this a hard one, but I'm going to start with something very easy. I'm going to start with doing 4 rows of 6. So there's my 5, and I'm going to just kind of copy these. Paste them, and paste them. Okay, so now I have my 4 rows of 6, and I'm going to make myself a nice little array out of this. And you can see I'm using my linear pieces, or my square units, and I'm making an array. And I'll show you. So I'm doing 1. There we go. There's 3. There's 4. I need some music for this. Clone and clone. Good. All right. So let's maybe make this one an infinite cloner here. This one is an infinite cloner. So now that I've got my 4 rows of 6, one way that I can think about an array is that I can actually separate this array into a couple of different equations. The equation that we have here so far is a 4 times 6. And of course, you know that the answer is 24 if you were counting. So you could use the 6 song, the 4 song. But another way you could think of this is that you could actually separate this into 2 easier multiplication sentences that might help. So I could think of this in terms of this chunk of the array and add it with this chunk of the array. And if I did that, I would separate it into my rows of, I have 4 rows of 6. So I could chunk it into a couple of different ones. It could be a 4. This one here is a 4 times 4. I have to do that as a separate step. So I'm putting in a couple of parentheses. And then I'm going to add to that my second half, which is over here. That is an easy one. That's a 4 times 2. And now that I've done this, I have separated this into 2 different equations that might help me. I know that a double 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 or a double double would be a 16 because this is 4 times 4, and then I know, or 8 plus 8, and then I know I have a 4 plus 4, which is an 8, so it's kind of like a double. So I can do it that way, or I can probably do it a different way as well. I could think of it in terms of all many different kinds. I could take this one here and I could do a 3 by 6 plus a 1 by 6. So my new equation for this one would be 3 times 6, and I could add that to a 1 times 6. Let's make that a small case. And now that I have that, let's make that bigger. And now that I have that, I've got a different equation that I could use. And you could split this up many, many different ways. I could even do a 2, 1 with 2. So let's use a green one for this one. I could do a 2 by 6. And of course, that would double. So then my new equation then would be a 2 times 6 plus a 2 times 6. But you have to remember that it is really important to put those parentheses around because that tells the math reader, whoever it is, that there are 2 separate steps that we're adding together. This is step number 1 and step number 2, or step number 1 and step number 2, or step number 1 and step number 2. This is really going to help out later on in the year when we start to do bigger equations, such as when we have something like a 12 times 30. And then that way we can break up the 30 into a 15 and a 15, and the 12 we could break it up into a 6 and a 6. And then that way we could solve it easier rather than adding 30 12 times or adding 12 30 times, which we could do. But remember, we need to talk more about efficiency rather than just getting the right answer and being accurate. So that's all I have to share with you today for splitting up arrays and making it making it more efficient for you. So the next part of your Math Google Classroom, you're going to see this areas for chickens. It says Barbara has 3 chickens, Ruby, Verna, and Bella. Here they are, Ruby, Verna, and Bella. And she takes excellent care of the girls. When they aren't scratching around the yard looking for bugs, grubs, and worms, they enjoy the pen and the chicken house Barbara built for them. Most mornings, at least 2 of them lay eggs. The chicken's pen is 6 feet wide and 10 feet long. So you might want to imagine that as an array. I'm going to highlight that for you so that you can see that a little better. And then the chicken house is 5 feet wide and 6 feet wide. Okay. How much of Barbara's backyard area is taken up by the pen and the chicken house together? So we're really doing exactly what I did back here, is that we're kind of imagining this as the yard and the pen together, and we're adding up the 2 separate arrays. So with a partner, I'd like for you to look at the sheet. I've put it into your Google Classroom and your Math Classroom. And in your math journals, you and a partner can explain and figure out how to solve this problem using pictures, numbers, words, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And when you're done with that, you and your partner can share what you have found. Thank you very much. Have a great day.